GCSE poetry, love and relationships, climbing my grandfather, and poems to compare it to. Before we start, I want to say a quick thank you to the physics and math tutor for allowing me access to their annotated poem. For all of the annotated poem, click the link in the description. It's free. I decided to do it free, without a rope or net. First, the old brogues, dusty and cracked, an easy scramble onto his trousers, pushing into the weave, trying to get a grip. By the overhanging shirt I change direction, traverse along his belt to an earth-stained hand. The nails are splintered and give good purchase. The skin on his finger is smooth and thick like warm ice. On his arm I discover the glassy ridge of a scar. Place my feet gently in the old stitches and move on. At his still firm shoulder I rest for a while. In the shade, not looking down, for climbing trees has its dangers. Then pull myself up the loose skin of its neck, to a smiling mouth to drink among teeth. Refreshed, I cross the screed cheek to stare into his brown eyes. Watch a pupil slowly open and close, then up over the forehead, the wrinkles well spaced and easy, to his thick hair, soft and white at this altitude, reaching for the summit, where, gasping for breath, I can only lie, watching clouds and birds circle, feeling his heat, knowing the slow pulse of his good heart. So, this poem is about a child, we presume, who is physically climbing his grandfather and comparing it to almost scavenging up a mountain or a tree. There's an element of peril or risk involved with getting to know his grandfather, which may reflect the generational divide between them. Alternatively, it may suggest a level of familiarity, as he is comfortable around his grandfather, because he is doing it without a rope or net. Without also invokes the theme of independence and liberation. The present tense of decide in the beginning also involves the reader and presents the speaker as an active character. It's described as an easy scramble, and juxtaposing these connotations of easy and scramble may further set up the divide between the child and the grandfather, as it is somewhat paradoxical. You can say the same here for warm ice, which is a simple simile for childlike effect, but it has a sense of juxtaposition to it. He says gives good purchase, which highlights how he has a wealth of experience, and gently in the old stitches, telling us that the grandson is considerate and aware of the pain of the grandfather and what he's gone through, which, if you think about the wider meaning other than the literal meaning, it could be talking about experiences of life. In the shade, not looking down. Now, this introduces a theme of avoidance, for climbing has its dangers. This continues the theme of trust and relationship between the grandson and grandfather, as he is relying on his grandfather to keep him safe, and it continues the theme of independence and liberation, contrasting with the trust he places on his grandfather. To a smiling mouth highlights the positive relationship between the pair. And slowly open and close slowly connotes consideration and care, which can thematically relate back to the depiction of the relationship. Watching clouds and birds. This is more natural imagery references, which reference back to Waterhouse's environmentalist background, which we'll see in poet context, and could suggest the connection between grandson and grandfather is very natural and caring. It ends with the slow pulse of his good heart. This clearly shows his grandson had a lot of admiration for his grandfather. Moving on to poet context. The poet's name is Andrew Waterhouse. He was born in 1958 and sadly passed away in 2001. He struggled with mental illness and sadly took his own life at age 42. He spent his childhood in the northeast of England, and much of his work focuses on the environment. He gained a master's in environmental sciences. So language, structure and form essay points. So first of all, it's an unbroken single stanza, which is the format of the poem, and it continues the theme of mountaineering and climbing into the structure of the text. The simple structure also represents the childlike nature of the speaker and his memories, and could also reflect the daunting, relentless journey of climbing a mountain. Enjambment is also used, which reflects the natural pace of a conversation or exploration, or to portray the change of direction taken whilst climbing. There's also an extended metaphor of mountaineering throughout the entire poem, which is reflected through both the structure and the language, and Waterhouse employs a semantic field of mountaineering to associate with the apparent care he has for his grandfather. It's ever growing and growing. And finally, oxymorons are used, and Waterhouse uses oxymoronic language such as warm ice and easy scramble in order to demonstrate the complex nature of the relationship and perhaps the bond that they share. Finally, poems to compare it to. So I only have one poem here, Climbing My Grandfather and Follower. So in terms of similarities, both share a theme of idolizing a family member, and they also have extended metaphors of extreme sports, so either sailing and climbing. They're very different structures, however. Climbing My Grandfather has a very loose structure and free verse, whilst Follower is a very constant A-B-A-B rhyme scheme, and it's formatted very rigidly. Now you can explore the effects of both of these different structures and see perhaps how they create the same or similar effect. Heaney, for Follower, is reflecting on his childhood, whereas Waterhouse is speaking in the present tense from the perspective of a child. For more videos on GCSE English, RS, Geography, make sure you subscribe to Know for GCSE. Thank you for watching till the end, and see you soon.